Hey guys, welcome back to Fully Operational. We are starting our UK National Championship bracket run through here. So this is round one, I believe, of the UK National Championships. It's double elim, so each player will play one side, either dark or light, and progress through the bracket depending on whether they win or lose. On the players we have for the first round, on the left we have Evan Saw, and on the right we have James Oddy. So Evan is playing, looks like Sith, and James is starting with Rebel. So, and you can see in the middle there those sexy new Death Star dials that Fantasy Flight produced for the National Championships Top Cut. The UK Nationals had a Top Cut to 16, I believe. I could be wrong, but Evan drawing up after a mulligan, I think. Considering his cards. James seems happy with his hand, so let's crack on. And yes, looks like Evan is running the standard sleuth, standard suite of Sith there with Council of the Sith to draw cards for the Jedi, so that he can put stuff under his deck if he doesn't like it. And the Executor arrives, which is a great pod for resources. It's a 5/2. It also has the Holocron, which is a bursty 3 resources. And it has some nice units and events in there as well. So worth noting, I've not gone through these games in ahead of time, so I don't know how these actually pan out. I obviously know who ends up taking it, but the play on the day I wasn't watching. So Evan starting out with a resource, always a good turn 1 drop. And plays out Vader, which double taps Executor arrives. You can see there his bottom objective, so that won't be available next turn. Commits with Vader and passes the turn. So James has got some work to do. I don't know if he's going to even try and take the Force back as a Rebel deck, but straight away puts some damage out with Rebel Assault, hurting Vader. And a good little trick there for any newer players. James paid for that with Mobilize the Squadrons, which you don't usually refresh in your first turn as light side, but Mobilize can. So got a free resource out of that. Plays a couple of resources and a pilot ready room, which you can use to make pilots cheaper. And James is running double Rogue Squad Assault as well. So there we go. We've got Rogue Squadron X-Wings, which are absolutely brutal to deal with. They're 2 cost, 3 health, a couple of black icons there. But importantly, they can get rid of a pilot enhancement or just get rid of an enhancement to refresh all their damage and all their focus. So if you can't take them out in one shot, they're usually a bit of a pain to deal with. But as you can see, James, not really any Force icons on his side of the board, so the Force is probably going to belong to the Sith in this game, so James has got to be quick, because that die will start ticking up pretty quickly. So Evan decides to give it the engagement unopposed there. Both X-Wing squads going in against Council. Great objective to target there. That will slow down Evan's card draw. I think Evan probably, if Vader hadn't have been damaged, he may have blocked there, but with the Rebel Assault taking 2 health off Vader, he could have died in that fight. Now this is where it really starts to heat up for the Sith player. They've got you'll have a couple of units to play, a couple of fake cards, but also those Sith events can do work. Force Lightning is a great way of dealing with the X-Wings. Just remove them from the board, doesn't even do damage. Yeah, there you go. It's a great way of dealing with units that can refresh and kind of remove damage for themselves. The Force Lightning just completely removes them. Missing a Vader trigger though. I think Evan could have pinged the damage onto the X-Wing with Vader's reaction. But keeps the resource open and passes the turn back to James. So Dowell's on 3. And it's still only Vader on the board. Rookie comes out. One cost, 1 health, 1 unit damage. Now James has plenty of cards to play with here, because every time he plays a fighter or a pilot, he's drawing cards off of those 2 top objectives, Rogue Squad Assault. And there's another Rogue Squadron X-Wing. It's kind of almost a workhorse of James's deck, I would imagine. There's 4 of them in there. And it gets advanced proton torpedoes, so that suddenly got a lot more scary. That's adding objective damage. And plenty of it. Oh, James coming out with a blockade runner. Good old trusty Corellian Corvette there. Again, all black icons, so doesn't really care about winning the edge battle too much. X-Wing swings for engagement. Looks like Vader is blocking. And both players got plenty of cards here for the edge battle. You've got to give the edge to the Sith, really. Their cards tend to have more Force icons on them. But Evan starts off quite well with a twist against James's supporting fire. It's kind of what supporting fire is meant for, though. You put it in on its own and just as a bit of twist insurance. And if it isn't a twist that you're facing, you can then bump up later. Looks like James passed, which means Defender wins the edge and Vader strikes on the X-Wing. Now James has free reign. And swings for the Executor arrives with the loaded up Rogue Squadron and the rookie pilot. So yeah, that just working through advanced proton torpedoes there. It gains a black blast for every unit in the attacking unit. So and Evan doesn't like the look of that, so removes one of the attacking units, and that takes down some of the blast damage coming his way. Triggers Vader as reaction on the X-Wing, and then sends the Corvette in at Fall of the Jedi. So a great couple of turns there for James. There's 3 damage on each of Evan's objectives. So Evan's kind of on the back foot here. The dial is at 5. But he needs to establish a board presence, I'd say. He's got a damaged Vader trying to go it alone against the Rebel fleet. You kind of want to see a Protector or 2, maybe another a Palpatine could be good to lock the board down. Even a Mara, if he's running Mara for some targeted strike, put some damage back on those Rebels. He's got an aggression in hand, but that'll hurt him more than it will James. Aggression says you both players must sacrifice a unit, and that means sacrificing Vader. So I think a good call there, getting rid of that. Executor in the hand, Sate Pestage as well, and a Protector on the far left, the Emperor's Royal Guard. Dark Precog. Look at some more options. Draw 2 cards and discard 1. Triggers Vader's reaction again. Slowly getting through that X-Wing's health. And now, what kind of a player are you, Evan? Do you want to bring... So, Sate Pestage, he's got a tactics icon, and he means you can recurse some cards from your discard. Or I'd probably go for the 2 Protectors, yeah. So, he's playing 1. And Sate. So a bit of a mix there. So he's got the Protector to keep Vader alive. He's also got Sate. There's a good utility. 3 cost, 3 Force icons. So he's great at holding the Force. And he's got a Tactics icon, which might hurt and slow down James's aggression here. So, Evan taking an action window to Dark Precog. Again, drawing 2, discard 1. Ooh, bit of hesitation there. Decides to get rid of an ISB liaison. And triggers Vader, final reaction, to knock out that X-Wing. So Vader's reaction here doing work. Worth noting there's a lot of cards in Evan's deck that aren't going to be too useful against these vehicles. Force Choke being the big one. Unless a pilot or another rookie hits the board. James playing out the Grey Squadron Y-Wing. And drawing 2 from his objectives. And that just really is the name of the game for this Rebel deck. It sees its cards very quickly. You're drawing a lot of cards every turn, and sometimes you can even discard cards to pay for other ones. So it really does come out the gates very quickly. Another X-Wing and Hobby as a pilot, and another Y-Wing. So good mix of X-Wings, Y-Wings, and a blockade runner there. And that Rogue Squadron X-Wing is looking pretty annoying here. He's going to be able to discard Hobby and free himself up again. So you almost have to either ignore it or overcommit to deal with it, because it's you can't leave it just wounded. It will spring right back up to full health. James swinging in for Executor arrives. Just the Rogue Squadron X-Wing. I think Kevin's got a heat of battle in his hand, so either Vader or the guard could deal a killing blow with the heat of battle. Looks like Evan is blocking with Vader. And in goes the heat. Now, does Evan think he needs a second one just to confirm this win? James has put one in and passed. Evan thinking hard. Looks like one each. Evan passing. 2-2. And the heat of battle does 1 to the X-Wing. Now, James has an action here. He's got a window to remove Hobby and free the damage up, which is the annoying trick we're talking about. So now Vader does strike first, but he won't manage to kill the X-Wing. Couple of goodbyes and handshakes there. I believe that was Dave Bamford, our UK Game of Thrones 1.0 champion.
That seems so long ago. So, fair enough, nice strike. Yeah, that was so unit damage. And
X-Wing strikes, puts another one on Vader, which Evan protects, and takes Executor up to 4 damage.
that really does seem wild. Yeah. Wow. Okay, send the Corvettes in at
Corvette going in for a second engagement on Fall of the Jedi. And it's got 2 black blasts, so there's not many options for dealing with this. Tactics would do it from Sate. Lock it down before it strikes. Ooh, looks like Evan really wants this blockade runner out of here. And back to the edge battle we go. I think Evan's got a few more cards in hand now. Oh no, 4 apiece, actually. So, 1 each. James goes for 2 each. Evan goes for a 3rd. Got to give it to the Sith here. Yep. So does Evan want to lock the blockade runner down with Sate, or does he want to? Yeah. So it locks it down, and between the guard and Sate, they do the 3 damage to kill it. And then finally, the Y-Wing finishes off Council of the Sith. So that's the first one out of there. James nabs his first objective, and only needs 3 more damage to close the game out. And could take the Force here. Yeah, the Y-Wing. Grey Squadron Y-Wing pops on the Force, takes it off Evan. Just slow that dial down. I think the dial is on 6 right now.
Sorry? That heat of battle. Yeah, no, I was like, I thought it was the only thing, but I can still do it before you kill it anyway. Yeah. I've forgotten. I will. Alright. Force choke Sate.
Oh, choke coming out. Vader chokes Sate, the Emperor's advisor, and reacts with his own reaction, Vader's reaction, to kill the X-Wing squadron. And Evan's new objective there, Imperial Bureaucracy. That's it's a great little support pod. The objective's ability, you can choose to take 3 cards from your deck and put them under there and use them only as fake cards. So you can't play them out on the board if they're units, but you can add them as fake cards in any edge battle. So suddenly it's going to be pretty difficult to win an edge battle as James. Another resource. Now Evan needs to really lock the board down here. He's got to go all defensive. And if my eyes don't deceive me, there's a Palpatine in hand, which wouldn't be the worst call. And a couple of events as well open to him.
I need to boom your board.
So yeah, Evan's got two options here. He can either build up his board with Emperor Palpatine and be able to lock things down with tactics, or he can start using events to clear out those vehicles on James's side. Not bad to have both options available to you. Let's see what Evan decides to go for. Palpatine would take all 6 of his available resources, and there it is. Papa Palpatine, the granddaddy, doing work. Looks like Evan's got a force choke and an aggression in hand, so the aggression, don't think he has the resource to pay for it. But another force choke could force choke one of his own guys and kill off that Y-wing. Or he could use it as a surprise damage later on that James isn't expecting. But this is going to be a key turn here. Supply depot comes out, free enhancement for the board, which means James can discard card from his hand to just give a unit an icon. So it's a great card to get an extra damage through when you need it, or get a tactics to lock an opponent down. But as I say, I think this is key. Evan's only got 3 health left between the 2 damage objectives, so James can smell victory. Can Evan stave off the rebel fleet? Here we go again, another blockade runner, the Carillion Corvette, all black icons. Like I say, tactics is the best way to deal with it, and thankfully Evan does have a few with Palpatine and Sith on the board, so James has got to be careful here, because you need to you need to be sure that Palpatine just doesn't win the edge battle and lock your entire board down, which he is capable of doing. He's got 3 tactics, and Sate can lend a 4th. And with those cards under Imperial bureaucracy, Evan is more likely to be able to win this edge battle. So. So James swings in with everyone at the bottom objective, and I think he must have a rebel assault in hand to deal with Fall of the Jedi. He's got the resources open to play it. James has got 3 in hand. Evan's got 4, I think, and 3 under Imperial bureaucracy. So Evan's checking the discard. A good bit of banter between these 2 players. I think the hero of this engagement is going to be Palpatine. But yep, everyone defends. James passes. Evan is checking there's no shenanigans, no edge shenanigans.
Yeah, you pass it? Yeah, okay. Now I'm going to play
Oh, so Evan passes, wins the edge battle, but James plays covering fire, which sacrifice a unit to give every other unit in the engagement a shield.
I'm so kicking myself now.
Oh, baby.
There was definitely something I could do. Oh, right, okay. Yeah, definitely something I could do there. That stops tactics as well, doesn't it? Well, it stops one tactic.
So, yeah, so suddenly Palpatine can't lock down all these units, and there's a lot of black icons on James's board. James only needs one to go through. I don't know if there's a way out of this for Evan.
Sorry, which one was it?
I guess it depends what events Evan has in his hand. He could get a cheeky Vader trigger off to kill a Y-Wing if he can remove that shield. So takes the blockade runner out of the fight. Ooh, so that's game. Yeah, those shields covering fire. Pulled the win out of the without that, no way of winning an edge battle, I don't think, for the Rebels. But if you can shield all your units from Palpatine's wrath, that's a good way of dealing with it. So, championship round 1 goes to the Lightside player James Oddy. Great game there for James, coming out swinging with the Rebel deck, and Evan just couldn't hold off. So neither player's out though. So Evan will scoot down to the lower bracket to try and stay alive, and James advances on. So join us in the next game, and we'll see how these players fare. Cheers, guys.